For the chassis template that you need to make, you have to open up your chassis. The first thing you need to do is we need to name all this tubing essentially. So the best way to do it is I'm going to separate the rear and the front. So I'm just going to highlight all this front tubing and hide it. So you can hide until I'm left with the rear tubing, and then I'm going to make drawing from part and find a landscape A4, click OK. Then here you're gonna drag in a view. I think isometric is kind of suitable, and change the scale to 110. Yeah, that looks okay, right? So you can change it, I guess, to this. If no, this is better. Once you're done, I suggest you right click on sheet format, edit sheet format, and then select all of this and delete it since it's not necessary. The next thing you need to do is under annotations, go to table, put in Weldment cut list, and select the drawing and select the view. Just click OK here. You'll get this table. Now the table doesn't fit in an A4 sheet, right? So we'll just put it on outside the table for now. Sorry, outside the sheet. And then once you have your cut list, you can click on annotation, auto balloon, and click on the drawing. So it will name all this tubing based on the cut list. And so obviously you will need to click OK first. Once you get out the balloon, you can obviously move it in and make it all fit into a piece of paper like so. Okay, so once you're done with that, you can save this, or I just prefer to click print to PDF. Okay, I'm just going to print to the desktop. Okay, so once that's done, I'm gonna just save this. For what you can do now is essentially create a new sheet, copy this one, do the same isometric view. This time I'll just put it on the outside of the sheet. Again, I'm gonna edit this sheet format and delete this. Yeah, so I click on sheet property because I want to change the type for sheet format 2 to landscape version. So again, I need to edit the sheet format and just remove all of this, right? So from here I can again go table, Weldment cut list, select this drawing, click OK. I'm going to get a table. This description is usually empty, so what you can do is click on this C part here, click delete column, and you have to size it up so it won't fit, so you gotta figure something out. So what you can do is so it's going to take it here. I'm going to say split, it's horizontally above, so I'll get 2 tables. So now I can hopefully resize this table. And here's the table, right? So if you want the table, and obviously you can save this and print it. Alright, so once you're done with that, you can close this. Now to get to the paper template, I'm just going to quickly open the recut list. Yeah, I'm just going to refer to this to name it later. I'm gonna go back to here. Let's say I wanted to make the cut template for this tubing. I will go to I'll go to the cut list on the left, right? And I'll say save bodies, right? And I'll choose this one, click like that, right? So then click OK. Yes, change the unit of the rail part to the unit of the base part. You have to wait for it to open a new part, right? So if you can minimize that, you'll see this is that single tubing. So the first thing that you need to do is this tubing is if it has a flat face, it's easy. You can just sketch on this flat face, right? If it doesn't have a flat face, what you can do is just choose any of the plane. Let's say, for example, both end of this tubing is, has a, it's not flat like this, right? Let's just assume that, right? So click on plane, doesn't matter, front plane or something. Click sketch. What you're going to do is you're going to sketch on the sketch. We know the tubing diameter is 25.4, the outer diameter. I'm just going to make this a construction circle. What you're going to do next is choose the center rectangle tool, find the top quadrant marker, create a rectangle roughly like so, and the dimension here is 0.01 millimeters, right? Then just exit sketch. From there, you go to file, you go to insert, you go to feature, move copy, right? So click bodies to move. You're going to move this tubing. Mate setting, you're going to choose the outside face of the tubing and also the outside circle of the sketch, so it will align it. So now we essentially have that sketch along that tubing. So we can go back to that sketch and go feature, do extruded cut. Since we already had that rectangle, I'm going to say through all both direction, right? So oops, feature through all both. Alright, so what this creates is a really thin slot. It doesn't really affect our tubing that much, right? So from there, typically you won't have this sheet metal tab open, right? So all you have to do is right click on the tabs here and just go to sheet metal. Then on sheet metal, so the first thing you need to do is click on insert bands, right? And the band parameter here, for the first one, for the option here, choose one of these edges, either this one right here or the opposite one right here, right? Doesn't really matter. So if you click on it, what you need to make sure that your band allowance K factor is 1, right? And auto relief is rectangular 0.5, right? The rest of this option doesn't matter, right? So just ignore all of them. Doesn't matter what this number is, right? So click OK. This will turn this tubing into a sheet metal part, which you can then click on the flatten tool, which flattens the piece. So now all we have to do is turn this into a drawing. So click on this outer face, which is the OD, right? Inside here is the ID of the piece, right? So if I were to like roll back, since I chose this edge, this edge is stationary and the part is unfolding like so, right? So once it flattens out, since that part is, since this edge was the stationary edge that we chose, this face is the OD face and this is the ID face, right? So since this is the OD face, we'll click on it, right click on it and go to export to DXF. So I'm going to put it on the desktop. I'm going to click save, and then just click OK, right? So this pops out. So just click on save. So now what you can do is open that file, which is here. All right, just go to next. You can move. Sorry, you can move later. Never mind. Just click on next. Finish. Right. So sorry. Again, I'm going to go open re-tubing. Alright, next. Next, right? So ensure that your drawing sheet scale is 1:1. In this case, it is. Right. So paper size is going to be A1 landscape. A4 obviously would not fit. Right. In this case, the tubing is vertical. Right. So A1 landscape is fine. Then click on. You can click center in sheet to center it. Right. So it doesn't really matter. We can move it later. So click on finish. So what you can do is select this whole thing and you can move it around, right? So if you have multiple tubing, you can obviously move all of them as necessary. So the reason we needed this rear cutlass, right, is because we chose this tubing, this particular tubing, which is going to be number it is a bit confusing to find the particular number because it's not properly trimmed, but I think it is this arrow. It highlights the edge of the piece. It's one of these arrows, so we can go back to the original drawing to actually figure it out. So I think it's this number 43 tubing, right? So since we know it's a number 43 tubing, we're gonna click on note and we're just gonna put a note in here and I'm gonna say 43, right? Make it as large as you need it. Right, so when we actually print this, we know what tubing this is supposed to be. If you had no number, you wouldn't know which tubing is which. Right, so once that's done, obviously you can just go file, print it to your printer, or in the case that the printer is not attached to your printer, what you can do is just go print to PDF, current sheet. What you have to be careful about is to ensure that the print is 1:1, right? So you know, it tubing 43. That's essentially it. So you can take that PDF, send it to a printer, and then print it out. So you have to do this to all of the tubing one by one. All right. So good luck.